Hey everyone, welcome back to Sleepout podcast.
Hi.
I'm your host Jay, and today I'm joined by my co-host Liam,
How's it going?
Will,
Hi.
and Finn.
Good afternoon.
First of all, before we get into things, we want to thank everyone for the surprising amount of good feedback we've had on the first podcast.
Unreal.
Like we already got 150 views on the first podcast on YouTube, which we did not expect at all. We expected to get like 10.
And that episode only went up on Tuesday, so it's got us all pretty stoked.
I mean, yeah, this has definitely surpassed
Like,
how
all of
well-
our
yeah,
expectations.
how well I thought it would
And
go.
like alongside the original video doing so well, we've also now got the podcast up and running on SoundCloud and Spotify. We've got a TikTok page going and Instagram. The TikTok's it's accumulated like nearly 1,000 views across the two videos we've got up.
I think around 700 at the moment.
Yeah, no, it's 400.
Nah.
Oh, actually, no, it'll be
58.
800 something now.
Bro,
won't
we're fucking
It'll
clapping
be
cheeks on
it's
TikTok.
in the thousands.
it? Is it?
Yeah.
It's in the thousands.
Dang.
Yeah.
Thanks,
But anyway,
guys.
yeah, how's everyone doing this week? How's everyone's week been? How
I
are we
mean,
doing
pretty
this good
good. I
Friday
haven't really
afternoon?
been doing jack shit apart from playing fucking video games all week.
Yeah. No, just working on the podcast, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, the success that we saw on YouTube was so surprising that, I mean, we've gone into everything, SoundCloud, Spotify, and
Yeah.
this
I
has
wouldn't-
been a great motivator for us for the future. I think.
It's been a really good week to start it off.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
it's
really
been
has.
great.
I wouldn't call it overwhelming success, but fucking, it's close to it. Overwhelming would be
Overwhelming
like,
for
bum.
us, people
Yeah,
who
yeah,
had
exactly.
YouTube channels in the past, but not.
Like it's fucking
quickly
it's
successful
fucking
as-
Yeah.
crazy considering we started with 0 subscribers and 0 views. Like,
And also, like, this only happened, all of this attention we gathered went up. I mean, we received all this attention within, like, 2 days. The podcast has only been up since Monday afternoon. It's now Friday afternoon. This episode here will be going up on Monday as well to keep our weekly thing going. But already we've fucking surpassed all of our expectations.
it's
and
really
awesome
good.
to see.
It's really good.
Thanks to everyone that listened to the first episode, and I hope
yeah,
that you're
even
back
though
for
it
the
may
second.
have been a bit shit, because like, but it seems like people like
It was pretty
so-
good. I mean, for
Yeah,
a first
yeah.
attempt, it wasn't bad.
I'm fucking stoked.
We're not trying to toot our own horns here. We're just proud of ourselves.
Anyway, aside from how much awesome attention we've been getting in the last few days, what's everyone been up to this week outside of school? Anything really?
Not really. I mean, is there anything you guys wanted to talk about in particular? I know you were saying before the podcast, Finn, that you wanted to talk about like that time you were in Vietnam.
Oh no, this is okay. This is
This is a good story.
I do love telling travel stories. I've been to a lot of places in my 16 years of living. I think if you counted up the total countries I've been to, it's like 15 or 16. And a lot of that travel's been
That's not
done in
bad.
Southeast Asia, particularly Vietnam and Thailand, which are both beautiful countries. The story that I've got today came from my first trip to Vietnam, I believe it was. Oh, it might have been Thailand.
I think it was Vietnam because you've told me this before.
Whichever country Bangkok is in.
Thailand.
No, it is Thailand, yeah. So,
This is not even a Vietnam story.
oh, yeah,
it's a Thailand
this
story.
is a Thailand story. I was about 3 or 4, and I was traveling around Southeast Asia with my parents, and we stopped off some random fucking city, like 8 hours out of Bangkok.
Bangkok's
in Vietnam.
not. Oh. I thought you
No,
were calling
we weren't in
Bangkok a random city.
No, but, Bangkok is involved in this story, but not yet.
All right.
We were in this city somewhere. It was a decently large city. I'll look up the name after this podcast and try and figure it out. But we were staying in this hotel, and it was quite a fancy hotel because
How old were you again?
I was 3
Oh yeah.
or 4. I was. It was.
How do you even remember this?
I don't know.
I don't
bro.
remember anything before the age of 10.
Most of these stories about travel from when I was like before I would turn about 8 have come from my parents retelling me.
Oh,
This particular story, I was 4. We were staying in this like relatively fancy hotel in Vietnam. No, in Thailand. Fuck.
Fucking hell.
come on, man. You need some
Geography. I don't
consistency
take
with this
Your
story.
story straight, bro.
Continuing on from the hotel. We were in the hotel, and we were in the foyer of this hotel. And my little fucking 4-year-old monkey brain sees the fish tank, which sits between the 2 paths in the floor of the hotel. Because this place is pretty fancy. There's fish swimming around
Yeah.
just right here.
Wow,
I
fish.
go up to this fucking fish tank. I bend over and I put my whole face in it. And I start just slurping back this
Oh
fucking
no!
hotel quality of fish tank water. It was like...
Fucking piss and
In
shit in it.
Thailand, it
In
would
Thai-
probably
it
be
was-
way more disgusting.
It was disgusting. But that's not the bad part of the story. So we
Okay.
go back to the hotel. We're all right. This fucking bacteria that I've picked up from this fish tank water is slowly setting into my body.
Yeah.
And about a day later, I start fucking spewing green liquid out of both ends of my body. I'm like shitting myself constantly, throwing up everywhere.
That is so
My
gross.
poor little digestive system is just like. My mum's like fucking. My parents are terrified. My mum's trying to get food into me. It just comes straight back out.
Yeah.
After a couple days of this, I'm like dehydrated because I can't keep water down.
Yeah.
I look like I'm fucking dying. So we take it. We decide to take desperate measures. So we go to this doctor in the local area of where we were staying, and I love Thailand. It's a really, really, really nice place.
Yeah, right.
But the facilities of like this facilities of this doctor's clinic we went to was like, I walked in, there were 8 people lying on beds in one room with a single IV drip being passed between them. There were
No, that is bad.
there were dogs
really
running
bad.
around. There was a dog on the lap of one of the patients.
What the fuck?
There was one
like
nurse
stray
tending.
dogs.
They had no
Probably.
collars.
Probably. This
Yeah.
is Southeast Asia,
Yeah.
man.
There was one nurse tending to these 8 people, and fucking bless her, she was doing her best. She was running around trying to make sure all these people were like okay. My parents take one look at it and they're like, "Oh,
As most people would.
do we trust our 4-year-old kid in this situation?" They make the decision not to, which is
Yeah.
that
Smart, 'cause you
may have
probably
saved my
would've
life.
died,
I
yeah.
know, yeah, that may have saved my life. My weak little first world
That is
country white boy immune
unbelievable.
system would not have survived. So we're like, okay, there's an international, I think it was a United Nations hospital in Bangkok, which is an 8-hour drive away. By this point, it's like middle of the day. We run into the hotel, we grab all our bags, we pack up our shit, and we check out. We run out to the street, and we just start flagging down a taxi, trying to find anyone that would drive us on this 8-hour mission across the country into Bangkok
Yeah.
to get to this hospital. Eventually, this dude in a big old fucking SUV pulls over,
Yeah.
and he's like, I won't try to impersonate the accent because that's bad, but
Yeah.
he basically tells
Fair
us
enough.
that he'll take us to Bangkok for, I think it was $125 US,
Yeah.
which is like, to be fair, that's like, that much money would get you an Uber fucking up Queen Street and back here.
Yeah.
It was, yeah, and it was the trip that would probably save my life, so it was worth it. We hop in this car,
No,
and
it
this
wasn't.
guy is just fucking like, you know when they talk about drivers in third world countries, just like, the road rules
Being
kind of
insane.
haven't quite set in yet?
Yeah. Yeah.
This dude is swerving through traffic.
Oh,
We're on this
shit.
4-lane
The
motorway
story
going
is fucking
120 k's an hour.
unbelievable.
Swerving through traffic, there's like scooters with 4 people on them whizzing past us. The dude's like cranking his horn. We get. it
I like how
passes-
this is crazy for us, but it's probably normal for people in like
yeah.
Thailand
Yeah,
and stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. We get past. It passes midnight. We've still got about 3.5 hours of the drive left. We finally get there. We pull in. It's like it's fucking early hours of the morning. We get to this hospital and we're like, oh my god, we've made it. And they rush me upstairs to check me in. My dad stays behind to pay, and he's left this really nice cheese cutter hat that he got
Yeah.
when he was a kid in the car. And he goes to grab his hat, and the driver reaches back, having already taken the money for the
Yeah.
trip, reaches back and grabs the hat, and basically signals like it's his now. It's not yours
What the
anymore. My
fuck?
dad's like, all right. I mean, you saved my son's life, so sure, keep it, whatever. And he closes the door, and we never see this guy again.
Yeah.
So now there's some dude driving around
Fucking
Thailand
shady.
who just driven 8 hours across Bangkok with my dad's hat now on his head driving around.
Yeah.
And random man, if you're out there listening on the incredibly small
Give us
cast-
back our fucking hat.
No, keep that hat. Thank you. I owe you probably my life. From then on, I recovered. It was sweet.
That's actually fucked. Like that's
yeah.
fucked up.
It was, to be honest, probably the scariest car ride of my life.
Yeah. Fucking.
What with me being
you
sick
almost died.
And the driver being crazy.
Yeah.
Continuing on from that, this is a good topic. Has anyone else got any travel stories they want to, like, tell?
I don't think I really have a travel story, but it's a hotel story.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
I mean, go for
Hit
it.
us with it.
So, in Auckland, on like the main street, there's a hotel called the Cordis.
Yeah.
Decently fancy. I'm not gonna be like, well, I go to fancy hotels because
Yeah.
I
I
don't.
stayed at Cordis,
But it was a
bro.
nice hotel.
It was not.
Yeah.
But they have a relatively famous buffet there called 8, like the number 8.
Oh.
And it has the wildest shit ever. It's got like ostrich meat, alpaca meat, alligator meat, just the
What the
craziest
fuck?
shit.
Me pulling up to
But-
the buffet to get some caviar.
But I've been there a number of times, and every single time I've been there, I've
Yeah.
gotten sick, varying degrees of sickness.
Aw.
But the first, it's not because the food was bad, it's because I ate so much.
Yeah,
I got
yeah,
fucking
yeah.
violently ill. But the first time, I had probably 3 heaping platefuls of food. So much so that it was like a pile of food. It wasn't
Yeah.
even proper.
Do they have like the
later.
plates, like the silver platters with the domes over
Yeah,
the
yeah,
top?
yeah.
Oh,
They were
that's when you know
square.
it's
They were
good.
even bigger.
Holy shit!
And you lift them up, it was like a ginormous drawer
Holy
thing.
fuck.
But
I need to go there, bro.
the first time I went there, we were probably in the restaurant for like 3 hours, just
Yeah.
eating.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
I had
mean,
like
that's the
I
thing.
had like 6 main courses and like 2 desserts.
Holy shit.
That's the thing with staying at like hotels with crazy buffets that are part of your ticket. You go there and you're like, bro, I'm
We're gonna get our money's
everything
worth.
on this fucking table.
Yeah, yeah.
I will eat until I pop because I'm not being like charged for it.
Yeah.
Anyway, Will.
But so yeah, that is true. Yeah, we whenever you go to a fancy hotel that you're like only staying for shortly, you're like, I'm gonna full experience this bitch. But I eat all that food. I must have eaten like at least 6 plates of food, and then I'm like, oh, I feel like shit.
Yeah.
And as I'm walking out, we walk through, and like the whole walk from the restaurant to the foyer and to the outside sort of doorway, I'm like, it's like I'm a tank of water about to fall over. I'm like, oh god. And then I get to the the exit where the valet guys are. There's like 2-3 sort of hotel employees there. And I'm like, oh, I don't feel so good, Jack. I think my brother's name is Jack. I'm like, oh, I don't feel so good, Jack. I think I'm gonna be sick. And then I projectile vomit into the garden of the super fancy hotel, just bleh! And then I projectile vomit like a meter, and then I vomit like 2 more times. And I was like, oh god, the hotel guests, the employees, everyone around is staring at me, but everyone was just laughing. Thank fucking god. And after
buffet
that,
food hit.
I felt great. And then we went and watched, I think it was Captain Marvel, which was a pretty decent
You
movie.
had that
and
hotel buffet tack, yeah.
Yeah. And then-
Like,
and
This
yeah,
is,
it was
this is-
just weird.
This is kind of like a little bit unrelated, but it reminds me of this time where me and my family, like a few years back, went on a road trip around the South Island of New Zealand, and we went to this like really fucking like bung ass hotel in fucking Foxton.
Oh
Or
no.
Yes,
it was either
Foxton.
Foxton or Greymouth, I can't remember, but like it was really fucking disgusting, right?
Yeah.
And like, so there's a pool, and it had and so there's about like a pretty tall slide, like maybe a 2-story slide, and
Oh.
it like twirls around a pole, like it's kind of like a
Oh yeah, yeah.
like it's kind of like a spiral staircase, but a slide.
those
that goes
things
into the
fucking.
pool.
Those things like rip your eye sockets out with a G-force. It's crazy.
The thing is, though, is it was kind of like, I don't know how to explain it, but it was just off, and whenever you went down it, you'd like almost fall off. But the problem is when you fall off, you're falling 2 stories down onto concrete.
Jesus
And so I'm like
Christ.
10, right? And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna fucking, because I'm like 10, I have no fear whatsoever. I'm like, all right, let's go.
It's time for
I
a water
hop on
slide.
this slide. I go down. I literally almost fall off and like break my leg almost. And like, it's so scary. Like, you're fucking going like back and forth. You're getting knocked around, and like, it says on the and how you know it's like a fucking horrible hotel is it's got one of those signs where you can peel off the letters, and instead of saying swimming pool, it says women pool.
We should go back there and take the
that's,
L out of pool.
that's when I knew. That's when I knew. That's when I knew it was gonna be bad.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That
I
was
mean,
the
that's
initial
just a
warning
little-
sign.
It's just like a little.
Gosh.
reminder.
Water
It's,
slides
uh,
are like fucking death traps, man. Like I
It's-
remember,
Yeah.
I went to the water park, the Mount Albert water park in Auckland, and I don't know. I would go down it. I was having a good time. I was visiting there with my girlfriend. We were just fucking around, going for a swim. Oh, was I with Jade? I might have been with you, Jade.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
me.
it was
it was
Jay
me
and Jay.
and
You and
Mateus.
Mateus, yeah. So we were at this water park, and we were like fucking. We were like 15. We were being cunts on the water slide. We're like blocking it and everything.
Yeah.
So no one was coming down, so we were blocking the water up, making a dam, and then letting it all go. But as I was like going down, the water slide was fine. But every time I got to the bottom of the slide, I'd have this like acrid taste of blood in my mouth, and I've no
What?
idea what it was. And then, like, my 4th time down from, like, getting down to the bottom of the water slide, I'm like, okay, this could be something bad. I go to the bathroom and I spit, and I just spit fucking pure blood into the sink, and I'm like,
fuck.
what the fuck was that? Why is my mouth full of blood? And to this day, I have no idea why this water slide, which is relatively tame, you don't get thrown around or anything, it just made my fucking, like, something in my mouth bleed. It might have been the dental issue, but I was just spitting blood every time I went down this water slide. I never told you and Mateus that because I didn't want to ruin your day. But it was fucked, man. It was really weird.
Fucking, I went to this water park in Bali.
Water bomb?
Yeah, called
Yeah,
Water
the
Bomb.
classic.
And, it's a mean-ass water park.
Yeah,
It's
I've
insane.
heard.
But there's this one part, there was 2, like, incidents I saw happen there that were kind of a bit like, ugh. And,
Scarring.
pretty much, so there was this one where there were 2 people that would sit in this one, like, floaty thing, and you'd go down this big drop, and then you'd launch up this big kind of mega ramp.
And like the big flat areas that you go up and then you come back down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but,
I've
like,
seen videos.
You're not supposed to, like, you're supposed to just go up, but not, like,
Not
go any
leave
further. I watched this guy who was, pretty large, and his daughter go
Die.
down it, pick up so much speed that they got air. They got air
That's
off it.
fucking awesome.
And I was
What
like,
the hell?
what the fuck? No way that can be legal. Like, that is fucked. They could
Yeah.
easily die.
The thing is, they make those water parks for shit like that. They calibrate it to someone who's like 90 kgs
Yeah.
at most.
Yeah, and then later on, I was doing like one of the big kind of rides there, which is where you go into this like little capsule, and then you stand
Oh.
there and you kind of lean back on the
And the
floor.
floor
and
drops
the
out
floor,
under you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right?
and the
That's
floor
awesome.
drops out from under you, and me and my sister were lining up for it because we went, and there was no queue. There was just this one guy going in front of us,
Yeah.
and he goes, and then it kind of goes up like this, like loop, but it's not like fully vertical. It's kind of
Yeah.
just on an angle, and he gets stuck halfway. He gets
That's
stuck.
like a fucking
Oh.
nightmare.
He gets stuck halfway up the loop, and then
Yeah.
he has to exit out of this hatch, and like the workers come and
Holy
they open up the
fuck.
hatch,
Fucking
and they
hell.
let it and they get him out.
This is the guy before you.
Yeah.
Oh,
Holy shit.
and you're already in the capsule?
No, I'm
No,
I'm
okay.
watching, and then,
Oh,
and then they
that would be so
No,
scary.
and then they get him out, and then the lady's just like, okay, your turn. I'm like, what the fuck? That just happened. I'm like, alright, I guess I'll just go. And I did it, but I lived.
You made it around the
shit.
loop?
I made it around the loop. I was
Holy
fine.
shit.
But I was like,
I only got
Yeah.
a broken neck.
Have you seen those videos of those guys that do like water slides like that, and they go up the loop and then they just get stuck,
They
and
just
then they
do-
literally fall back,
and they
like
just-
fucking
yeah.
break their neck.
I mean,
and
there
shit.
was-
What?
well,
Where
Yeah,
have you seen
fucked
that?
up on YouTube?
I mean, Will, was it you?
Just you know when you go down the rabbit hole on
No,
YouTube, and
absolutely
you just
not.
find
It
weird
was
as
it you?
fuck
Or it was
videos.
someone in a conversation we had recently telling me about this water park in Germany that got straight up fucking closed down. Oh, I was talking to someone. I can't remember.
Oh
who
no, it was me. I
It was
talking
you,
about-
yeah.
It was just because I had found it kind of funny because there's so many different ways people can entertain themselves, but one of the ways is amusement parks and water parks, and I found it's funny how many people die
Yeah, there's
at
so
amusement parks.
dangerous.
Yeah, but there was a specific one in New Jersey back in the 80s and 90s called Action Park.
Action
Yeah.
Park, that's right.
It was a sort of combination. It was a water park, but it also had like race car driving and all this shit. But
pretty fun time.
it was unbelievable. Like it was like fucking Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Like people keep dying, but they just wouldn't shut it down.
Oh my
I
god.
Like,
how
I
you-
think-
I like
I
how
think
you
at least-
compare a water park to FNAF.
Yeah, I
Five
know.
Action
I know, but
Park.
it's true. Like people kept fucking dying at this place, and they didn't shut it down. It was unbelievable. Like
Yeah.
some kid got decapitated.
Holy
What the?
fuck.
He was either I can't remember what he was on, but he was on something going so fast, something hit him around the head and it took his head clean off.
oh,
And other
I can
people
I can just imagine you're waiting to get on the line and the end, and it just comes with a
headless body
headless
comes
body
down.
comes down
and then
on the
5
road.
minutes later his head
You hear
rolls
like a
down.
thumping sound and it just rolls out the head.
Oh,
Oh.
you hear the ping pong, the
ping
pinball
pong,
sound as the
Yeah, yeah.
head's bouncing around.
oh no, that is fucked.
Yeah, but people drowned and got crushed
That's
and
fucked,
all
man.
that stuff,
Christ.
and
And it, took
it
them
didn't shut
that
out.
long to
It
shut
didn't shut
down.
down until years after some of the stuff
Oh,
happens.
that's ridiculous.
That
It's
is
America,
bad.
man.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
America. As long as
true.
it's making money, you can
Humans-
stay open. It's
Humans and their obsession with
bloody
like going
believable.
really fast, despite
Yeah.
like the cost of their life. It's like so many
Yeah.
adrenaline sports just involve being somewhere, going somewhere else at an incredibly high speed.
There's
Yeah.
so many famous like aviation pioneers and race car drivers and stuff who have died trying to set speed world
gruesome
records.
deaths, yeah.
It's our constant. I mean, some people say it's a good thing. Our constant strive to achieve and
Yeah.
accomplish amazing things.
Hunt for
I
It's
don't know,
awesome.
dude.
Don't
it
worry.
It gets
it's
to a point,
but
though,
it gets to a
eh?
point where people are doing such crazy shit they just die.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I've been not so much anymore, but I used to mountain bike a lot. And I went to Whistler in Canada, which is like the most acclaimed fucking bike park ever, and it was like best 8 days of my life.
Hell yeah.
But while we were there, we saw 2 people being taken off in ambulances. My mum broke her shoulder. 2 of our other friends, also, one of them separated their CV joint, I think it was, in their left shoulder. The other one broke his leg. And
Jesus
we were
Christ.
only there for like a week and a half.
Holy shit.
Just to go really fast down a hill on our bikes.
That reminds
And it
me,
took the toll that it took on our bodies was like, I recovered from that trip for like a month. I was so sore.
Jesus
that
Christ.
reminds me, like, mountain biking is pretty dangerous in general. Remember when Mateus dislocated his shoulder?
Oh yeah, so our mate Mateus, we're gonna have him on this podcast.
Definitely one
So
day.
He is a legend. I love him. He
But he sucks at mountain biking. Nice.
so he his family offered to take me on a trip down to Queenstown, which is like beautiful place.
I love
Yeah, it's like
Queenstown.
the tourist capital of New
New
Zealand.
Zealand, yeah.
It's awesome though. Hey.
And we stayed
your
in
mouth.
this beautiful house in a place called Arrowtown, which is just outside. It's like an old mining town. It's one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen.
Yeah, I fucking love
One
Arrowtown.
day, we decided to go to the Queenstown Bike Park because this is like this gravity park. You get a gondola up with your bike, and you then ride down, and they just take you back up. I'm like by this point, this is a couple of years ago. I'm pretty decent at mountain biking. Mateus has like dabbled in it. He's started. So we get there, we grab our rental bikes. These fucking big old like massive wheels, really fun bikes to ride. And we head up there, and it's just me and him because his parents are off in the town doing other stuff. This is our first run down the mountain. We get up in the gondola, we get going, we go on one of the easiest trails. I'm ahead of Mateus because I'm a lot faster and I don't want to get like held him up, like
Yeah.
stuck behind him.
Yeah, right.
I get to the bottom of the trail and I'm waiting for Mateus, and it's like 10 minutes past and I'm like, oh, okay. He's new to riding, but he's not this new to riding.
Yeah.
Surely he isn't just like walking down the trail. So I sit there for another 5 minutes and I'm like, okay, holding on to the hope that he'll come down or someone up the trail will come down and tell me where he is. And this guy comes down on this bike and he's like, oh, are you waiting for anyone? And I'm like, yeah. My mate's up there. He was following me down. He's like, oh yeah, I saw someone on the side of the trail up there holding his shoulder. I think something might have happened. At this point, my heart just dropped. I was
I
like,
know. That sounds so scary.
fuck. Alright, okay. I leave my bike down there. I just sprint back up the trail. I'm like dodging people that are coming down, having to jump into the bush when someone comes around a corner.
Yeah.
And I get to him, and he's like lying there dazed as fuck, holding his shoulder.
Didn't he lose his
He lost
glasses,
his glasses,
as well?
which is bad because his eyesight's pretty bad.
Yeah, yeah.
His glasses have gone flying off into the bush. And he's like, it's not good, man. I tried to take a jump. I took it wrong. I think I've fucked my shoulder up. I think I've broken it. And I was like, oh, shit. Alright, well, we'll get you off the mountain. We call the rescue people. They're like, yep, we'll see you in like 15. And I sit there with him. We have a bit of a yarn.
As you do
Yeah,
when you
that's
break your
casually.
shoulder.
As you do on the side of a mountain with a broken shoulder. The rescuers come up. They give him the morphine,
Oh, hell yeah.
the green whistle as it's called, where you
Yeah,
just breathe
yeah.
in morphine and go, and the pain goes away. And he recovered. He ended up dislocating his shoulder and he broke, I think either the top of his.
Yeah, didn't he spend ages in a cast?
No, it wasn't in a cast. He was in a sling. He spent
Oh,
like
yeah.
6 months in a sling.
Yeah.
How'd you be in a cast for a shoulder?
He wasn't in a cast.
It
he was in
wasn't.
a
It was
sling,
sling.
holding his shoulder like that. In fact, he
Ah.
did the exact same injury that my mum did in Canada, where he dislocated his shoulder and then my mum broke the ball joint in her shoulder. No, he broke the ball joint in his shoulder. My mum broke the top of her radius, I believe it was.
Yeah.
But anyway, mountain biking is a dangerous sport.
Yeah, I mean,
and
that just shows you, like, there's some, like, adrenaline shit that just goes too far and, like, can actually get you really seriously injured.
Yeah. Like, there is fucking... I was watching... One thing that happened, I was in a call with some of the boys from Christchurch a few weeks ago. And we were just... Someone was screen sharing, we were having a good time, we were watching stupid shit on YouTube.
Yeah.
And we come across this video and it's from a wingsuiting YouTuber, and it's just titled "The Day My Friend Died."
Holy
And I was
shit.
like, "What the?
What the
Okay,
fuck?
surely this isn't real." We click on it, and it's just a vlog about this dude who went wingsuiting. I'll try find the name, and I'll bring it up next episode. He went wingsuiting with his mate. They jumped off. They were getting into their flight, and then he looks back, and his friend is just plummeting towards the rocks, and he can't pull his parachute
Fuck.
out. And his friend died that day.
Holy
Holy
shit.
fuck.
And I can just imagine like the fear that you have in your stomach when you go to pull your wingsuit out and it doesn't go, and you're like, okay, I'm falling really fast down this cliff.
I
towards
need
rocks.
to sort something.
I need to
out
sort
now.
something
Yeah,
out.
exactly.
And unfortunately, this dude didn't. Rest
Yeah,
in peace.
that's pretty fucked.
Yeah.
That's fucked.
Well, hey, the thing is with parachuting is if your parachute doesn't come out, you have the rest of your life to figure out.
Oh my god.
Jesus Christ.
Always,
I mean-
always one to make a joke in
I
a
mean,
morbid tone.
talking about
Hey, it's my
broken
job,
bones
man.
and shit. I could talk about the time I broke my leg, recently. If
The
you
reason,
wanted.
oh yeah.
So
go
like
hard.
I was going down the road just near my house on my moped, and I was going like a bit too fast, and it was quite wet and like slippery out. And then so I was going like really fast, and I tried to like skirt into my driveway, kind of like I was being pretty irresponsible. I was going really fast, and then I slipped out on loose gravel, and like at that moment I was just like, oh shit, because like I was like, because like my scooter literally just toppled sideways, and I went flying over my handlebars, right, going like 50 k's by the way, which was like pretty fast.
Yeah.
And then I landed like a really weird position on my ankle, like I landed on it super weird, and I was like, at first I was like, oh shit, because I grazed up my arm really bad, and I grazed up my knee and shit, and I thought that that's all I'd done, right? And I was in like really, because I was in shock, so I didn't really feel the pain, right? And so I'm like, oh shit, and luckily I'm like right outside my house, and my friend's there, and he like can pick up my scooter and bring it back into my house, and I'm like limping back to my house because I still can't really feel the pain in my foot.
Yeah,
And
so
then
you
about
walked on this
five,
thing,
yeah,
Jesus.
and then about 5 minutes later, I just start like feeling this excruciating pain, and like no one's home, so I call my mum, and I'm like, oh mum, I think I broke my foot. We need to go to the doctors. And she's like, okay, just stay there. I'm coming home now, because she was at work at the time.
Yeah.
And so she comes home, because like we live on an island. It's like 5 minutes to get anywhere. So like fucking she comes home, and we're like, okay, let's go to the local medical center to sort it out. I get there, I'm waiting like literally an hour for fucking any assistance, and they're like, all right, we have to get your x-ray taken. I'm like, okay. So we go down the road to the x-ray place, and we get my x-ray taken. I go up back to the medical center. I'm waiting for another like 2 hours. And then like they haven't given me any painkillers, by the way. Like I asked for painkillers, and they just wouldn't give me it for some reason. And then
That's
they were
probably a
like,
good
and
reason.
then my GP comes out, and she's like, oh, bad news, you've fractured your ankle. And I'm like, oh, shit.
Why are you laughing? What's
Why are
wrong
you
with
laughing,
you?
cunt?
I thought you just said bad news. You're fat.
Oh, no. She came out, and she was like, bad news, you fractured your ankle. I was like, oh shit. And then she was like, oh, you need to get another x-ray to make sure that you haven't fractured any other parts of your leg. So keep in mind, the x-ray building isn't in the same building as the medical center. So I'm literally sitting there in excruciating pain, and my mum has to wheel me down the road on a wheelchair to the
think it's like
medical center.
downstairs.
Still
And
no
then I have
painkillers
to,
at this point,
yeah,
eh?
they haven't given me any painkillers. It's been like 4 hours, and I'm like, have to get another
your
x-ray, and then I'm waiting for like another what?
What is that? It's on your
Oh,
foot.
I don't know. I'm waiting for like another 2 hours at this point, and then they're like, okay, you have to go to A&E, like the accident and emergency unit in Auckland Hospital, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh shit. So I'm waiting there, and like I'm just sitting there, and like I'm in excruciating pain, and finally, after 5.5 hours, they give me 150 milligram tramadol, and I'm like, okay, I guess it's better than nothing. They call the ambulance. The ambulance like takes me to fucking like to the hospital, right?
Yeah.
I get to the hospital, I'm lying in a bed, I'm like still in fucking excruciating pain. They feed me all these painkillers, and I'm like, okay, what's gonna happen now? And I'm waiting there for like hours,
Yeah.
right? It's like 2 in the morning at this point. It's like 2 in the morning at this point, and they're like, okay, we have to take you to the cast room to put your cast on. I'm like, okay, and since my foot was at a really weird angle, they had to bend it back to 90 degrees to put it in the cast, right? And as you can imagine, this would be like really sore. So like as you mentioned earlier, the green whistle. So they gave me this tube, and basically every time you suck in, you get a hit of nitrous oxide, or otherwise known as laughing gas. And like I've or nangs in New Zealand, but I've let's just say I've dabbled in nangs a couple of times in my life, and so like usually you take like 3 hits of it and you just start cracking up laughing, right? I proceed to fucking huff that shit for 2 minutes straight. I'm like incredibly fucked. I'm incredibly fucked up. Like literally everything's like doubled. Like I was hearing the doctor and they were like, they said relax your foot, right? And I legit heard relax your foot, your foot, your foot, your foot, your foot, your foot, your foot. And I was like, holy shit. And I was like, oh, this is actually kind of mean. And then like, and so I was like, oh shit. And then I was like, oh nah, this is too much. Cause like after you do nitrous, you kind of get like the feeling that like after you feel like super groggy and like almost drunk. And so I'm like, oh shit. And so I put it down, and then like 5 seconds later, I just start feeling excruciating pain again. So I'm like, fuck this. I grab the whistle and I huff on it for like 5 minutes. And at this point, I'm seeing triple. There's 2 doctors, and I see like 10.
Every minute.
And I'm like, and I look at my mum, right? And she's like, are you all right, buddy? And I'm like, yeah. And I somehow managed to speak coherently. I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. But in reality, bro, I was fucking tripping out. I was like, saw my mum and like had a full on like envisioned, like I literally time traveled back to like my past life or some shit. And I was like envisioning like everything that's ever happened in my life.
DMT.
Like as you see like you know how people say like the life flash before their eyes? It was like that. And
Have
but
you
I
so
was
many nags you nearly died?
I just did like was huffing so much nitrous, right? And like they were like, okay, it's
Are you sure
finally,
it wasn't fucking
it's
DMT
finally,
or something?
No, but it's hospital grade nitrous, so it's like way more strong. What are you,
Yes,
Joe
I
Rogan? But it's like hospital grade
infiltrated
nitrous
the
is
show.
like significantly stronger than normal nitrous.
Yeah.
And
shit
so
like the British people will lock in hospitals and sell in balloons.
exactly.
British
So,
boys.
So like so they're like, all right, all done, and I'm like fucking really fucked up still on nitrous, but like it lasted a very short amount of time. And they're like, all right, all done. We'll take you to the X-ray room now, and like my cast's on, right? And I'm like, I really want to get more fucked up on this nitrous. This is all I think in the moment because I'm a little drug addict. And I grab the nitrous oxide thing, take a big long fucking hit, and then hold in my breath and just don't fucking breathe out, which makes like the nitrous way more intense. They're literally wheeling me in a hospital bed. Like you can imagine, like anyone that's done nitrous that's listening right now, you can imagine like being in a hospital bed is the craziest experience on nitrous because there's all the beeping and stuff from the hospital.
Oh, yeah, and
and like
you're
it's
moving
all
as
like
well.
and like all this shit. It's fucking crazy. And like I'm holding it in, and I finally let out my last breath and feel like kind of normal again, and then I just feel really drunk because quite often like after you do nitrous you kind of feel like a bit like groggy and like drunk, and then I'm just like sitting there and I feel so dizzy and my head's spinning, and like I go into the X-ray room and I'm still tripping out. This was like a 10-minute long nitrous trip, and I'm like and I'm like fucking, it was just crazy, man. Like and then I just literally had to wait and fucking and then they moved me to the because they didn't have enough spots in the orthopedic ward, so they had to put me in the ears, noses, and like eyes ward or something. So like all the gross like old men with all that all like when they snore, and I'm like fucking, and I'm like sitting there and I'm like, oh my god, and like the nurses are feeding me painkillers. So at this point I'm like fucked up on opioids, like all these different like really strong painkillers.
It's like someone's entire.
And I'm just hearing this old man who's like on the bed right next to me with only a curtain in between us, and he's snoring, and it sounds like his throat's like jammed, and it's literally just, and I'm like,
Sounds like
and
when she's
then I'm like, oh shit, and so yeah, that's
not
exactly
that
what
bad.
Will. That's
She's like-
exactly what Will sounds like when he goes to sleep. By the way, guys.
What I sound like when I'm like, on a camping trip
But
that
yeah,
one
yeah,
time.
but,
Oh, yeah.
anyway, like, so I'm like sitting there, I'm like, oh my fucking god, it's like 5 a.m. I can't go to sleep for what, like, nothing. I'm like, ring the nurse bell, I'm like, please, can I have sleeping meds? And they're like, well, we can't give sleeping meds unless they're prescribed, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, fucking whatever, okay. And so I'm sitting there,
Just
and I'm
doing
literally
this.
awake all night. Like, I didn't get a wink of sleep. And the next day, I'm lying there, and this guy next to me wakes up, right? And his daughter comes in. And his
Oh,
daughter's
no.
like, oh, and his daughter's
Retarded.
like, oh, hi, Dad. Like, she would have been in, like, her, like, late 30s or something, because he was quite old. He was, like, would have been in his, like, late 60s. And she was like, oh, hi, Dad. And he was just the most horrible, like, pig I've ever heard. He was like, get the fuck out of here and bring me my fucking jelly, you bitch. And I was like, and I was
Bring
like,
me fucking jelly.
and I was like, Jesus, man. And, like, I was just sitting there and, like, oh, God. Like, it was just
Not
a
the one
horrible
at all.
experience.
Yeah.
I mean,
hate hospitals, man.
if anyone else has, like, any hospital,
What a
like,
cunt.
injury stories that they want to tell, like,
I've only been in hospital once, other than the time I was born, of course.
yeah.
And
You were born in a barn.
yeah, and I was
How
really
everyone in
young, so
Waike's born.
I don't remember a lot of the experience, especially since I was unconscious for a lot of it. But pretty much it was just a pretty normal day at home.
Yeah.
I was sick from school. This was
Yeah.
in primary school, and my mum took the day off work to look after me since I couldn't be home alone at that age. And pretty much all I remember, I was just lying on the couch, just all
Yeah.
like tucked up in blankets
Yeah,
and shit,
yeah,
like
yeah.
hoodies, because I felt really
Pull
cold.
it in.
Yeah.
And I was
Go
just
for it, sir.
watching a bit of a movie, and then pretty much what my mum told me is she came over to check on me, and then she finds me
Dead.
lying there with my eyes open, but they're rolled to the back of my head.
You do the Herobrine, bro.
So it's just white.
Because
Oh, of course.
Horror movie shit.
So like, cause she freaks the fuck out, because I'm,
Yeah.
I'm really young, and you know, now her kid is just here like, looking like I'm dead, just on the
Yeah.
couch. And then, so she calls an ambulance and shit. I'm just completely blacked out. I don't know what's happening.
Jesus.
And then, also, it goes from me just lying on the couch watching a movie, and then all of a sudden I wake up, and I'm in a fucking helicopter.
Oh,
Yeah.
And I'm a little kid, so I'm just like, what the fuck? And I
Yeah.
remember,
That's
I
the
remember-
exact thing you said.
and I remember,
What the fuck?
and I remember my
the
mum.
fuck?
I look up and I'm like strapped down to like a stretcher thing, and I
Holy
look up and my
shit.
mum's sitting in the helicopter, and she just looks back at me, and then it just goes black again.
Holy
Jesus.
fuck.
And then
What actually was it? Like,
I'll get to that.
all right.
And then I'm in hospital, and I remember like my dad was like pushing me around in this little buggy thing, and then it came to this point where they thought I had meningitis, so they're about to do like some crazy fucking procedure on me,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and they give me this I think it was something like they were gonna stick 12 needles in my back,
Holy
Oh my
fuck.
but I had to
God.
be awake for it.
Oh,
And,
I actually have such a genuine
so
fear of
I'm a
needles. They
little-
make me cry.
So I'm a little
dude.
kid, so they give me an ice block to try to distract
That'll
me.
make it better.
To try to distract me from what's happening. And I finished this ice block like fucking fast as fuck. Because
Yeah.
I was looking, I was like, fuck yeah, ice block. I munged the
Fuck
shit
yeah,
back.
ice block.
And then all of a sudden, after I've
Ice
had this
block.
ice block, or like I start returning to normal, I start getting better, and they're like, wow, I don't think it's meningitis. And it turns out I just had severe heat stroke
Oh.
the fever since I was sick and being all tucked up on
Yeah,
the
yeah,
couch.
yeah.
I got
Hey,
such, I
What?
got
A little
such
bit.
severe heat stroke that was almost to the point where I
your
could have died.
eyes
from
rolled
it.
into the back of your head.
Well, it was almost to the point where I
Yeah,
could
no,
have
heat
died
stroke's
from it.
serious, bro.
Yeah, and
I didn't know it made your eyes
then-
do that though.
after I had this ice block, it like cooled me down.
Yeah.
So the ice block
Save
cured
it.
Yeah.
It was
you.
your cure. Save
After,
you were just-
after a helicopter trip to the fucking hospital, ice block was what
You were,
saved
just
you.
you were just craving
And
a
then
fruit juice,
I
bro.
got to go home back on the boat with my parents.
That's
So,
fucked.
yeah,
So
that's my
that's-
story.
If it wasn't for an ice block, Liam could have died, guys.
Basically,
Well,
yeah.
they could have stuck.
I like how
injected me
you
with
two,
all the
Liam and
shit.
Finn, your stories is like you could have died apart from really simple solutions.
Yeah,
oh, well,
yeah.
I've got another one like that. Actually, so, this is another I almost died of a fucking life-threatening illness story.
I was about I was even younger than I was when that whole shit in Thailand happened. I think I was 3. I got this infection one day and it started in my nose and it was a staph infection that was combined with another like really infectious fucking
Oh shit.
skin disorder.
Yeah.
My parents like know the story better than I do. They've just told it back to me. Starts in my nose and it begins spreading around my face and I'm getting this shit. There's scabs forming on my skin.
Yeah.
It's
Sounds
genuinely
like the Black Plague.
It doesn't look like it looks like someone has just like ripped a wound into me and filled it with gravel. It's these grey scars. It's gross. It's like I'm
Ew,
fucking dying of some like
what?
zombie disease.
Yeah.
But it's
the
spreading around my
fuck?
face. It spreads out of my nose, all around my chin, up around one of my eyes.
Yeah.
Then it ends up on my ankles, my fucking ass, my
So
arms.
everywhere, basically.
Yeah, it's like I'm turning into stone or some shit. I go to the doctor, and they fucking quarantine me. They put me in a room on my own. because
Holy
this
shit.
thing
Makes
can-
sense. I would
yeah,
understand
this
why
thing
they
can
would
kill
do that.
people. And they start giving me, they talk to my parents, they get
Wait,
my
where
mum
was
to
this?
describe. This is like, blah 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 medical center.
Was this on the island or?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
And they were like, so they talk to my mum, they get a consultation, they put me on the strain of antibiotics, and they were like, alright, we'll send you home, we'll see how the antibiotics go. They take me home, I am not getting better at all. I'm like, the way, it gets to the point where the medicine they've given me isn't working, so my parents have just started like, pulling the scabs off and putting honey and stuff on it, like so that they heal better.
What?
Fuck.
Honey, it soothed the shit out of it. It actually,
Oh,
like,
really?
it was the one break, because they hurt as well, they hurt like shit.
Yeah.
It was the one break from pain that I got.
Yeah.
And it was like, despite the life-threatening disease, that was like, as a young kid, that was one of the best times of my life because I was like, my relatives from England were over and they were from the UK were over and they were buying me Lego sets just to keep me distracted. And
Oh,
like, I was
you
Oh,
got loads
hell
of
yeah.
free
That's
shit.
fucking every little
every day
kid's
I'd walk in
dream.
with another like $100 Lego set and I was like, give me! And I just sit
They'd be
there.
like,
yeah.
ooh, Lego!
I just sit
yeah.
there in like excruciating pain, but everything was okay because I had
It turns
the
out you just fucking
I just
drew
did.
the scabs.
All the
over
pain
you
goes
and
away with a good
faked
Lego
it.
set.
for Lego.
Just so you could get Lego sets.
Anyway, so they take me back to the doctor.
Turns out the whole disease was fake. You glued it on
Yeah.
just so you
Yeah,
could get
yeah.
free Lego.
So about 3 months later, they take me back to the doctor, and it's
Yeah.
I'm not getting better. I'm still fucking looking
3
like-
months.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
It was bad.
3 months you were like that.
Yeah.
Could you
It
like
was a
walk
really-
around or do
I
anything?
could walk around, but everything was painful. It was a really bad
Jeez.
period of my life.
You know what it kind of reminds me of? Sorry to interrupt your story, but there's a disease in Game of Thrones where it's like scabs that spread over your body and it becomes stone and you have to chip
Yeah,
it off with
yeah.
no jizz on. It's so the similarities between that and what you're describing is wild.
Anyway, so I don't know if it was 3 months. It was a decent amount of time later. I go back to the doctor, and they're like, "That's right. Okay, important thing. I wasn't on antibiotics. Sorry, I was on penicillin."
Oh, yeah.
And they take me back to the
Right.
doctor, and because they never told my parents what medication I was on. They didn't know it was
What?
penicillin. They just knew that I was on a medication for
Yeah.
it. They take me back to the doctor. They put me back in this quarantine again,
Yeah.
and they're like, "Okay, this isn't working. What's going on?" And they're like, "Oh, maybe the penicillin isn't working." And at that moment, my parents just go, "You've got him on penicillin?" And he's like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Can you open his file in your computer, please?" And they open the file.
Oh no.
In my fucking allergy section, penicillin allergy.
What
I've been
the
allergic
fuck?
to penicillin my entire life.
So
I
they
was
just
taking
gave
shit
you
for 3
pen-
months and it was doing nothing.
So they just
Penicillin
gave
allergy
you-
gang.
they just-
yeah, let's go.
They just gave you
What?
penicillin. They
I'm
just
also allergic
didn't
to penicillin.
check your
Oh,
allergies.
nice.
They didn't check. He
I'm
didn't
not.
check my file.
What a fucked up doctor,
It was.
dude.
It
Wait,
was
wait,
a
so-
doctor. He got like chased out of the fucking
Yeah,
medical
good,
center.
bro.
Was it? So did you ever find out what it actually was?
It was a staph infection mixed with another disease that I can't remember the name of. But
Jeez. I didn't even know something like that
finally,
existed.
they put me
Yeah,
on this
same.
right antibiotics. My parents are like shells of their former selves because they've just watched their kid like not get better for the last 3 months, and this is something that
Dying,
was, like,
basically.
This is something they were quarantining me because they didn't want it to spread to other people that were in the doctor's office.
Holy
Yeah.
shit.
Because it could kill them, as it nearly killed me. Finally, they put me on these antibiotics, and it starts to clear up. It's like 2 weeks, and it's pretty much all gone. That was one of the worst medical possibly the worst medical experience
What
I've
the
ever
fuck?
been through.
You had a
Fucking
crazy
hell.
year.
I
You've been
genuinely
free,
can't
holy
believe that
shit.
it
Bro, I
actually
fucking-
happened. You've never told me that.
Yeah,
I haven't told
neither.
many people that. It was a bad time.
Yeah, I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
It's an
right.
interesting, a common theme amongst these stories is fucking doctors fucking up.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me, the start of Liam's story and sort of the medication thing with your story, Finn, kind of reminded me, this is sort of a short story, but it's kind of interesting. So we have only 2 dentists on the island,
Yeah.
And so we have one in like the main township of the island, and we have one sort of more out the way. The one more out the way is kind of shit. But
Yeah.
I used to go to one more out the way because it was closer to where I live, because I live in the fucking bushland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in the middle of nowhere, yeah. But so I go there, and so what happened? How it all started was so we have my house, and then we have a deck, and then we have a lower deck, and I was
Yeah.
getting a piggyback from my sister,
Yeah.
my older sister, and she dropped me by accident. Well, I hope.
Oh, you
Yeah.
hope. Oh, shit.
She dropped me, and I landed face first on the deck and broke both of my front teeth in.
Holy
Oh
fuck.
my god.
Oh.
So yeah, I got
Fuck
and
that.
both my teeth just right in, and
Yeah.
so my mouth was bleeding so much that any time I talked, like
You just
I basically
There's blood.
vomited out blood anytime
Yeah.
I talked or opened my mouth.
Yeah.
So I had to be taken straight to the dentist,
Yeah.
and somehow not a fucking hospital.
Yeah, what? Why are they thinking of the dentist?
Because I was a tough ass motherfucker, man. I grew up on a farm, and that's probably why I'm super fucking retarded. But
Anyway, continue.
but so I went to the dentist, and I can't remember the actual procedure. I don't know if they like put the teeth back in or whatever they did. They did something, but he gave me some kind of drug, where there was
How
a
old were you
painkiller
again?
or something. Jeez, I must have been perhaps 5 or 6.
Oh yeah.
So they gave me
told the penguins at age
painkillers
6,
or
dog.
something, and everything's fine. We get home, and then they put me in my mum and dad's bed because it's way bigger than mine. They put me in it and they put me to sleep, and I sort of black out. But I wake up, I black out, and then I have brief visions that almost feel like a dream,
Oh,
and then
that's
they
bad.
go away, and then I wake up again, and my dad is holding me down to the bed, because it turns out I went ballistic and was screaming and bashing my head against walls
What the
and
fuck?
running around my house and like trying to tear myself open and stuff.
Holy shit.
I was banging. I was
fucked.
I was screaming. My mum was telling me I was banging my head against walls and stuff and like
That's some
punching
hor-
stuff.
that's
and
some
going
horror
just
movie shit.
Absolutely ballistic, like possessed ballistic.
Holy
And my
fuck.
my dad had to grab me, and hold me down on the bed to stop me screaming. I was like, ah! Like,
And
I was like, my face was all
And you have
bruised
no
You were just
recollection of
completely
this.
unconscious for this.
and then
Oh my
and
God.
it was, I was like semi-conscious. It was like brief visions of flashes of me running around and shit.
That's
and then I woke up and I
terrifying.
was like, what the fuck happened? Oh well,
Yeah.
I didn't say that because I was 6, but I was like,
Yeah, yeah.
well, where you were?
Yeah.
And mummy and they didn't really tell me what happened until years later. And then when they told me, I was like, "Are you fucking, you're dreaming? You're like, this is a joke, right?
Yeah,
this
I
isn't real."
was asleep.
Yeah,
And she actually told me every time, she's like, "It actually happened. You actually went fucking ballistic."
that is.
And
That's
fucked,
crazy.
man.
I
Dude.
know. I had no idea what the fuck. They probably just gave me fucking crack or something.
Yeah, yeah. They had you on the
Maybe it
fucking
wasn't even a
meth at
den or
age
something. It was
6.
just some crack house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of have a similar story to do with the teeth part.
Oh yeah.
How you knocked out your 2 front teeth.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Dental injuries.
When I was
They're worse, dude.
also a very little kid,
A
we
wee
had
young
this,
lad.
we had this rope swing in our backyard,
Oh boy.
and I was swinging on it, and I pretty much just went face first into this tree. Actually, no. Actually, no. Actually, it wasn't that. I actually remember now. Fuck. No, it was like I was a stupid little fucking kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I go, I'm gonna try bite onto this rope and swing while
Wait, hold
holding
up.
it.
So you were swinging.
So
wait.
I bite.
So you were swinging. You face planted on a tree.
No,
and
no,
then bit
no,
it.
tree,
no.
the tree
The
part's
trees.
not
The
right.
trees.
No, the
something
trees are
else.
right.
Oh right. Okay.
So
okay. I was
my-
confused.
My little dumbass, for some reason, bites the rope and then tries to swing while just holding on with my mouth.
That's
Right?
like a Tarzan kind of thing.
Then, what proceeds to happen is both my 2 front teeth, as soon as I start swinging,
Yeah, they just get
Just
ripped
get-
out.
ripped out of my mouth.
Holy shit.
Completely just
Yeah, because I
ripped
remember
out.
you had no 2 front teeth
Yeah.
for ages.
Yeah.
So I'm just, there's just blood just flowing.
That's so gross.
Just blood
What the
just
fuck?
flowing out of my mouth. I'm just
Yeah.
drenched
How
in
old
blood
are
at
you?
this point. Fuck.
Like,
Probably been like maybe 6 or 7.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And
Jesus, bro. What
I
the fuck
go,
are you thinking?
I go inside, just covered in blood. I'm like, and I go to my mom, like, kind of there, just covered in blood, and then she starts freaking out. Like, we called the after hours dentist. We go straight to the dentist, and I don't really remember anything after there, but yeah, I didn't. And then I since I was really young and I was still long off growing adult teeth, I just had no 2 front teeth for a good year.
Holy shit.
A good year of my life, I didn't have 2 front.
Yeah, because I remember that. You didn't have it for ages.
Yeah, it's because I was
I
too
mean,
young.
I guess at that age, you don't really think. You kind of just
yeah.
that's a good idea. Let's
like,
do it.
my
You don't
mouth
think
can
of the
grip things like
consequences.
a
I
hand.
feel like
Time
I
to
feel
swing
like I feel like children age 0 to
So,
8
8
is
are
like someone
so
just fucked up on
stupid.
acid.
Yeah,
I feel like
Yeah,
it's
bro.
because
Well, I
you know
mean-
there's actually studies that prove that there's a lot of similarities to people that take acid and a 5-year-old's brain
Yeah.
activity.
And
Yeah.
common drug resources say that if someone's having a bad time on acid, treat them like they're 5 years old.
Yeah,
They can't look
exactly.
after themselves. You have to look after them.
I think that would be a good way to raise a kid from the age from 0 to 5.
Raise
just
them
treat
like they're
them
on
like they're on
acid.
acid.
The other way around.
What do you
Yeah.
see, Timmy? It's like,
Are
what
you
month-
tripping balls,
Do
young
you see
Timmy?
the mecha
Nah, but I
elves?
swear when you were a kid though, your imagination would just run
Run
wild and
wild, yeah.
you would literally be by yourself just in a backyard with a stick and you'd find a million different
Yeah.
things to do.
Nowadays,
Every time-
I am not entertained unless I have 2 screens going. I'm listening
Yeah,
to music.
yeah,
I'm doing
yeah.
work.
To
I'm
be
playing a video
fair,
game.
Perhaps this is again attributed to my fucking retardation, but I don't really have the cool childhood imagination like I did, and I'm devastated about it. I'm so sad, but I do still see sticks on the ground and be like, that's a fucking gun right
That's a
there.
good, that's a good stick. Yeah.
That'll make a fucking kick-ass gun right there.
Yeah.
But yeah, being a child, I just I swear like back to Five Nights at Freddy's when I first learned about it. I know it's probably a bad thing to go back to that, but the first time one of my friends told me about it in primary school, I your imagination will run wild. I really need a pee, but Freddy Fazbear might be in the fucking bathroom or something.
Like, bro, I fucking...
That reminds me
I
of,
swear when I was sorry, Jay, but I swear
Yeah,
when
yeah.
I'd be going to bed, I'd see fucking entities in the corner.
Yeah,
of my room.
legit.
Yeah.
That reminds me of one time. I think it was Liam's 10th birthday party or something, and we were all playing Slender Man.
Yeah.
We were
I
all
remember
playing
that.
Slender Man Arrival on his Xbox 360, right?
Little
There was
kids.
we were all little kids, so of course we were shitting ourselves, running around in the dark
Slender
forest. We
Man's
were like, oh
gonna
no,
get us."
Slender Man's gonna come up and get us. And what we'd always do every birthday of Liam's is everyone would come over and then they'd leave, and then it would be me, Liam, and our other friend Jude that would stay over the night. And so we were sitting there and we were watching a movie or whatever on Liam's Xbox, and the doorknob just moves, and Jude and me and Liam aren't really don't really notice it, and immediately Jude's like, there's fucking Slender Man outside. he's coming to get us. And then we're like, nah, not even. And then a bunch of weird shit starts happening. We start hearing rustling. It would have just been birds or
Bro,
fucking
the ghost was getting...
or
the ghost
his
No, it
dog
was
or
just
whatever.
Slenderman.
Yeah,
Slenderman.
and then we were fully just thought it was Slender Man.
Yeah, we were freaking the fuck
And we were
out.
hiding under his couch, and we were I think we even ran upstairs. We were I think we even ran upstairs because there's a downstairs area in Liam's house that has his Xbox and everything that we used to stay in, right? And I'm pretty sure we all got so scared that we ran upstairs and went to his bedroom and hid in our blankets and shit because we thought
Everyone
Slender
knows.
Man was
Everyone
coming
knows
to get us.
blankets are a good protection against entities.
I mean, that's the kind of shit that we had going on in our brain as kids, but I'm...
I
But-
still had that kind
Yeah,
of
a
shit.
bit ashamed to admit this, but recently with the whole analog horror deep dive that's been going on, I know Will and Jay have been talking to you guys a lot about this.
Yeah.
All the horror
Did
series
we? I
I've
don't
been
think we
watching.
talked about it last time.
No.
No,
outside
just
of-
in
Oh
general.
right, yeah, I see what you mean.
But when I first watched these 2 horror series called Local 58 and Gemini Home Entertainment,
Which are very good, by the way. You
Yeah,
should check
please
them out.
check them out.
Cool.
Honestly, these guys,
Yeah.
they deserve so much
they
support
both have
because
their
their
own
shit is
dedicated
awesome.
YouTube channels. They're fucking amazing. They're scary.
Oh, and Monument Mythos as
Monument
well, which is a
Mythos by
fantastic
Alex-
analog horror
Alex
series.
Kansas.
Yeah, or Canassus or whatever his name is.
Anyway, so there's one night that I'm walking home. I was in town visiting my girlfriend, and I get off the bus that goes to the road. Sorry, get off the bus at the stop right next to my street, which takes me. So I'm
Yeah.
walking home. It's 9:30 p.m. and I look up at the moon, and the moon is huge this night. And the final episode of Local 58 is is focusing on the moon becoming bigger and being some sort of eldritch horror creature. And I'm just convinced this fucking Local 58
Were you
moon is here
high?
to get me. I was completely dead sober. I was just fucking scared.
Yeah.
And that night I had to stay home on my own, and I kept all the lights on, and I would look out and I would see lights down the Sleepout light. I'd see lights on down my property and be like, bro, it's the wood crawlers, bro. They're coming.
The fucking entities,
The
bro.
entities,
Liberty
bro.
lurker.
But it just goes to show like how easily the human brain can be influenced by stupid shit that you find
I know.
online.
About the local 58 thing, didn't you say like a while ago, Finn, that you were really drunk one time and then you saw the moon and were like content with it eating you
Oh
or
yeah,
something?
so this is on the way home from a party that I was at, and I was super drunk, and I'd just watched I'd watched the last video of Local 58 like 2 days before, and I'm walking home, and this is that night when the Paravan, which is a van service which takes kids home from parties where we live.
It doesn't sound as dodgy as you
Doesn't
think.
sound as dodgy as it's really cool, and they're for free. They're all like good people.
Yeah.
No, it's a
Um,
fantastic service.
Yeah. Anyway, I call the Paravan from this party, and I'm like, oh, can I get a lift home? They're like, well, we're going to be about 40 minutes, bud, sorry. So I was like, sweet, okay, I'll walk home. It's about a 30-minute walk back to my house. And I'm walking around this track, which is right on the
I'd
coast.
shit myself.
And I'm looking up, and I look up, and the moon's there. And I'm like, oh, look, it's the Local 58 moon, bro. And normally I would have been like, holy shit, bro, I'm scared. But this night, I was so drunk that I was just like, you know, if that's the scary monster from Local 58, I am fully content with it taking over my soul. Because I was having like the night of my life. I was having a good time. I was walking along, had my phone torch out, I was blasting music through my headphones. It was a really cool night, and I was just like, you know what? What's up, Mr. Moon?
It's a liberty lurker, bro.
I can just imagine you super drunk on the side of the road just talking to the moon.
Some person's driving home from like a late night shift.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
What the fuck? You're like,
Yeah,
lying
there's
there
just
being
some
like,
drunk
"No,
kid
don't
being like,
eat me."
moon!
Yeah, that was fun though. That was a good night.
yeah.
Bet it was.
Yeah.
What were
Wait,
you gonna
Will,
say?
remember before the podcast, you were thinking you were going to tell us a few hunting stories because you spent some
Oh.
time hunting?
Oh yeah. I mean,
Alright.
having spent some time in the bush, you would have seen some terrifying shit.
Yeah. When you spend enough time in the New Zealand bush, you hear
You're
some shit.
accustomed to the end.
The end, the liberty lurker. No, but so I can start with they're mostly a collection of really short ones, but I remember one time, this is not so much a hunting story, but it was in a place where we have been hunting a number of times, but we just, me, my older sister, and my older sister, my two sisters and myself were walking, and we saw we walked further than we had ever walked before. Like, so far we reached some beach that we'd never been to, and like it was not like one that people go to. It might have been a private beach, I don't know. But we're walking back.
Is this on island or?
Yeah, this is
Oh, yeah.
this is the island, and we walk, and then we're walking back in this huge. The place where this happened is a huge block of land that's so creepy. It's like the creepiest place. It's
Yeah.
like dark, 24/7. There's animal bones everywhere.
Oh Jesus! It's the
And you
feasting
always hear
grounds.
sounds of like, you always hear weird like you always hear peacocks, but the noise they make is really creepy. It's like a weird human
Yeah.
scream.
It's weird as fuck.
Yeah,
They like
yeah.
shriek at you.
Yeah, but we're walking back and we see this ginormous bloated piece of flesh
What
sitting
the
there.
fuck?
What?
And
the
I walk.
fuck?
I think it might have been a dead pig, but
Yeah.
it
Oh
was
my God.
ginormous.
Yeah.
It was like the size of a small car,
Oh my
Holy shit.
and
god!
it was red and brown and bloated.
Yeah.
And we saw it and we were like, "What the fuck?" And we started running. This is all very sort of hazy for me. but
How
we're
old were
sprint-
you?
Oh, maybe probably around 10.
Oh,
I was a
yeah.
bit older, but we were running back up the field, and the sun was setting. It was
Yeah.
getting dark. There were animal bones everywhere, and there were like
Yeah,
chunks
yeah,
of dead
yeah.
bush and gorse and shit like that. It was like, what the fuck is happening?
You saw the being, bro.
Yeah, I saw the fucking
The
flesh.
The mystery flesh.
The mystery
lump.
flesh, but yeah, no. But hunting's fun, man. Hunting's really
Yeah,
fun.
yeah.
It's a really sort of acquired thing. Like you
Yeah.
have to be a very specific type of person to really enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I don't nearly enjoy it as much as probably my dad or someone else in my family does, but I do really like it. Like,
There's something quite primal about
Yeah, it's
just
very
going into the bush and hunting.
there's something really cool about eating elk, man.
I mean, to
Yeah,
be,
I
to be
love
honest-
elk.
I love elk.
To be honest, I saw a post a couple of days ago talking about how hunting and then eating your catch is the most like
It's like the
it's
most,
the most
humane way.
of consuming. Because instead of getting your meat packaged in the shitty plastic from like a supermarket shelf, it's
Factory
been cured and it's been through the hands of like 20 people and it's
Yeah.
been factory farmed. Just going out there in the bush, doing the honors, killing something, you have a kind
Yeah.
of mutual respect with this animal. They're like, I am gonna eat you because you are lower on the food chain. It's
Yeah.
starting to sound like Joe Rogan with
It's
his
a-
meat
I know,
eating.
yeah, we're so sounding
It's
like
a
Joe.
very like going back to your like caveman roots.
I
thing,
know,
like,
but
ooga ooga, eat the
it's
meat.
weirdly, it's like, there's like two types of fun. There's like the party fun, which is like a crazy, fun.
Yeah.
And then hunting's
Human
like
fun.
that quiet, peaceful, stoic fun.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, yeah.
you're out in the wilderness, you're hunting for food, it's just like you're at one with
It's
nature.
quite,
you
it's
know?
quite similar with like fishing and stuff
That's a
like
lot like how
that.
mountain biking used to be for me, because whenever you go down the hill, you're going really fast. You get that crazy like, holy shit, I gotta turn, I'm gonna hit a tree and die kind of thing.
Yeah, but like,
But then
you-
on the way back up, or if you're pedaling up a hill, you're just like, wow, this is beautiful. This is amazing.
yeah, I feel like you really just take in nature. It's quite nice.
Yeah.
I've been hunting a number of times down in the South Island,
Yeah.
and there's these mountains in the in a part of in Otago, which is a southern region of the South Island.
Yeah.
They're like it's crazy because they're mountains, but you climb them up and then they're just flat for
Really?
ages. It's like a ginormous
plateaus.
mound more than a
Wow.
mountain. It's cool, man, but
That's cool.
it was so scary because we were walking up. It used to be huge, like timber thing.
Yeah.
People, they used to cut down trees and get timber from there.
Yeah.
And take them to like local like sawmills and stuff. And so we walked up this road, and on the way up, we were finding like bullet casings and shotgun shells and
Oh
stuff.
my god.
And we
massive
get up into the bush, and we're walking up, and we have to walk up this landslide. And then we walk up this super dense bush. We're getting cuts and scratches all over
Yeah.
our and shit in our eyes, and it's
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
hot. But we get up to the top, and it's like this other world. It's like another planet. It's flat. You'd think it would just be like a little bit of
peak,
flatness
and then
because
it
it's a
goes back,
mountain,
yeah.
yeah. But it's just flat as far as the eye can see, and there's these big dark green pools of water,
Whoa.
and there's like
whoa.
spongy bushes everywhere. There's no trees
That's
at the very
sick.
top.
Where is this?
The Blue
South
Mountains.
Island.
It's just the Blue Mountains. It's just a mountain, small mountain range.
Shit, I want to go there.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's crazy, dude.
yeah,
but
yeah.
on the way up, I found a $500 GPS.
Really?
What
Someone had just
fuck?
left it there.
Holy
yeah.
shit.
Imagine
And-
not like the person tracking that GPS store. It's like this dude's been there for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the mountain for like 2 years.
Yes, anyway.
But so it was all good. We were like, fuck yeah, this is sick. We didn't see any deer, but fucking free $500 GPS. This is a sick place. This is a
Yeah.
fucking cool ass walk.
Yeah.
But on the way back, we overestimated it, like how much time we had, and it
Uh-oh.
got dark
Oh,
fast.
no.
Yeah.
And we were walking back through the bush. There was no bush tracks
You have
because
no
on the way
lights?
up we got lost, and on the way back down we were so lost, and it was the most scared I've ever been in my life.
Really?
I could hear sounds of like animals moving through the bush. I could hear like
Oh.
shh,
Yeah,
and I could
yeah,
hear
yeah.
elk like roaring and stuff. They
Did
do
you
that
have-
weird
Oh
roar.
my god, did you have a torch on you?
No, we didn't.
Oh my
We were
god. That would've
walking
been
back-
like
It was
the
just
fucking-
pitch black.
The
Yeah,
forest
it
of
was
the
getting dark,
Ritual
and
kinda shit.
we were walking back. Yeah, it was almost
fuck.
exactly like the Ritual, the movie, because it was all pine trees, and it was
Oh,
so
that
scary.
is so scary.
Everywhere you look,
Oh my
you think you
God.
could see things walking behind the
Next
trees.
minute, you run into a Swedish cult.
Yeah,
The fucking
But we got
Wendigos that
s-
they're feeding.
yeah. We see the fucking Loki's bastard child.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we got so lost. And I was shitting my pants. We were because
Yeah.
there's so many roads up the mountains, and there's like gates, and there's
Yeah,
it's like
yeah,
the
yeah.
intro to a horror movie. It was so scary.
yeah,
But we
man.
got down to the road. On one side there's like the long road, and then a bunch of roads that go up the mountain. On one side there's the mountain, and on the other side there's just flat fields with like cut down trees and
That's the
stuff.
base of the mountain.
Yeah, and we finally got to this opening. We finally got out after shitting our pants for like 3 hours, me and my dad walking down these mountains. And we had driven the car there, but we had no idea where the fucking car was. We had completely
Oh,
lost
no.
the car. Yeah. So we had to call my my aunt to come pick us up and take us back to the town where we were staying.
Fuck.
And it went from being really scary to really funny because my aunt's a bit of a character. She's awesome. I love her so much.
Did you end up finding your car?
We had to go back the next day.
Just drive
Oh,
back to where it
shit.
was.
Yeah,
Oh
and
my
we
God.
drove like all the way up in my aunt's car. We were like, oh, we're gonna get stuck. But we finally found, yeah. But prior to being picked up by my aunt, it was like from the
Scariest shit
point
ever.
it started to, from the point we were walking back down to the point we got picked up. It was like the most scary thing ever.
So how long did you spend just traversing down this mountain?
We were
For it
out
to
there
get
all
dark?
day from like the morning till like 8 o'clock.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
That
but,
is fucking
it-
crazy.
It was like. It probably doesn't sound as scary as it was for me,
It
but
sounds
being-
scary
sounds
as
fucking
fuck.
terrifying.
That sounds scary.
But it was, I was like, Dad, fucking, like, can we please go?
Yeah.
Luckily, luckily my dad having a hunting rifle gave me a bit more sort of peace.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
But
yeah.
it was
These Swedish
towering
cults come together
pine
and shoot
trees like 10 meters on either side. You couldn't see anywhere, and you look into the tree, and it was just light enough so that you could see like sticks, and you're at that when it begins to get that dark, your mind starts to play tricks on you. So
Yeah,
you start
yeah.
seeing like, and I start
Yeah.
seeing like big ass like I see like people just watching me. And
Yeah,
shit.
hard. You see like those shadows, and you
I'm
think they're like
stressing.
fucking.
It's making me
I
anxious.
could not
just
do that.
thinking
I would
about
just
it.
Yeah,
no.
yeah.
My heart would be.
But
beating
that's
so
the
fast
thing
to
with
leave
hunting
my
is
body.
there's the good moments and there's the bad moments. Like it also reminds me. So we had been on another hunting trip and we finally shot a deer. We
Yeah.
finally shot one
Yeah.
and we were like, fuck yes, we finally got one. And it was usually we walk along the ridge, but we had to go down to the bush because it was quite far down. And
Yeah.
as we were cutting and gutting it, we looked up and it was getting dark. So
Yeah.
we had to carry this deer. We were covered in blood. We were covered in deer blood, and we had to run back up the hill, covered in deer blood, and holding bits of meat up the hill in the pitch black, and that was also pretty scary. But yeah,
That-
Well, I mean,
hunting,
imagine
hunting's a
coming-
very complicated
Yeah.
but very fun
Imagine
thing if you
people
know how to
coming
do it
across
right.
you covered
Yeah,
in blood,
yeah.
holding bits of
Imagine,
meat.
I can imagine other
Yeah,
hunters,
yeah.
other people like, oh, well, you
What
could,
being is that?
I mean, only like we were with a bunch of other people, so I can imagine the other people were just going outside for a piss or something.
Yeah,
and seeing
yeah.
me
Back.
swim back in the dark, covered in blood, and holding chunks of
That-
meat.
that-
being like,
that like whole bush dark scary haha thing like
Yeah.
kind of reminds me of this time a couple years ago when I was on Great Barrier visiting my friend and
Barrier's
so
a
so
unique
we were
place.
yeah so we were at his house like
Yeah, Barrier's sick.
kind of like in the middle of nowhere
this
like
James's
there's
house?
yeah so there's like
Oh, I
no
know
other
this story.
so there's not very many like other houses around so we like
James.
and his parents were like quite like strict like they wouldn't really let us do anything because he'd got in trouble previous like just a few days
Right.
before this
Yeah.
and so we
Right.
finally convinced them to let us like make a bivouac and sleep in the bush right
Oh,
and,
great idea.
So
where it
so
starts.
so we go. So it's like probably like 3 PM or something. We go into the bush. We're like, all right, let's start finding supplies. So we're like walking around like fucking middle of nowhere in the bush, and we start finding like sticks and stuff to make a bivouac out of. Right?
Yeah.
We actually construct this like
We start
really.
finding dead bodies.
We,
and stuff.
yeah, no, so we actually
Like a
construct
Hot
this like
Wars hut.
really fucking awesome bivouac, right? It was like full on, like we fucking made sure it was like completely secure and shit. We made like all the like the floor out of ferns and shit, so it was super soft.
Oh, that would be
And then
awesome.
we were like,
You
all right,
slept in there.
yeah. So what happened? So we were gonna sleep in there, but so what happened was we went. So it came around like maybe 7 o'clock at night. It was like getting quite dark. It was summer, so it was getting dark quite
Yeah.
late, but it was getting like the sun was kind of setting. And his other friend, who was like quite a bit like we would have been like 15 or no, we would have been 14. His friend would have been like just turned 13 maybe. And
I'm gonna say 30.
no.
Yeah.
So his friend would have just been like turned 13, and he was gonna stay with us too, right? So what we do is his stepdad was like, oh well, I know that you guys want to sleep in the bivouac, but like we're gonna set up a tent nearby in the bush just in case like the bivouac like is too like
Just in case the beasts
yeah,
attack.
like something I don't know, like just in case the bivouac falls down or whatever. And we're like, all right, sweet. So it comes around, so we're just like chilling in the bivouac, like having the fucking time of our lives, like just being little retards and fucking. Me and James are like, oh, we get really bored, and we're like, oh shit, we want to go on a walk, right? Because Barrier, like, you walk and it's just
can walk
beautiful,
forever.
like it looks like
Yeah.
Jurassic Park, and it's like fucking at this point it's like 10 o'clock, like 11 o'clock at night, and Corey, who's like the other
13-year-old,
friend,
yeah.
he's like, oh, I don't really, because we weren't allowed to like go for walks, so we were gonna like sneak out type thing,
Sneaking out
because
the
like,
bivvy.
but the thing is like
With
you
the
have
boys.
to walk down past his house, and his parents were still awake, and his friend will like, and his friend Corey was like, oh nah, I'm not gonna come, and we're like, okay, what are you
live a
gonna do
13-year-old
do
alone.
then? And he's like, oh, it's I don't know, it's all good though, I'll just stay in the tent. So we're like,
Oh,
okay,
no.
which is like a fucking retarded decision. We just leave him in the bush by
Yeah.
himself.
Oh
and
my
we're
God,
like,
he'd be
so,
so
so we
scared, yeah.
walk, so we walk down. We're in the Claris kind of area of Barrier, and we like want to walk to like the actual Claris town, and so we're walking for like probably 20 minutes. We're like halfway there because anywhere on Barrier is
Yeah, it's
hours
a
away,
long way.
and we're just walking down the road, and we're like, and then James gets a call on his phone, and it's his stepdad, who's like a real like strict guy, and we're like, fuck. And so we call oh no, sorry, I messed up the story. So before this, Corey calls us and he's like, can you guys come back? I'm scared. I'm hearing noises and shit. And
Holy
we're like,
shit.
what do you mean noises, right? We're like,
entity,
and
the
so
screams.
he's like, wait, hold on. And then he's like, oh, never mind, they've stopped. And then he calls us back and he's like, the noise is starting again. And he puts his phone outside of the tent, right, so that we can hear what it is. We just hear squeals of pigs and shit, like running through the
That'd be
bush,
so
like,
scary.
and like all this shit, and like we hear like yelling and shit of like hunters, obviously. And we're like, oh shit, like okay, like, what are you gonna do? And he's like, oh, I'll be fine, like, I'll just stay in the tent, like, you guys can keep going if you want. And since we like retarded 14-year-olds, we were like, okay, let's keep going. So we hung up, and 5 minutes later we get a call from James's stepdad.
Yeah.
And he's like, where the fuck? He's like, picks up immediately, he's like, where the fuck are you? And we're like, just down
Up
the
your
road.
bum?
We're like, oh, just down. We were like quite far. We were like halfway to Claristown at this point, which is like a good like half hour, 40-minute walk.
Yeah, good
And
few
we were like, oh shit, we're fucked. And so we're like, oh, we're just down the road at the bridge. And he's like, I'm coming to pick you up right now. So we're like, fuck, because we were not
At the
just down the
bridge.
road at the bridge. So we just start sprinting back. We're like, fuck, we have to get to closest to the bridge as we possibly can. So we start sprinting back like full speed, like holy fuck. And then we see his stepdad's truck pull around the corner, and he's like, oh, you little fucking shits, like, because
Runs
like
you over.
because like I'd never been on a holiday with them at this point, so they didn't really like know me. Like they kind of knew me as like this good kid. Like they knew I got into like a bit of trouble with James at school. Like we were a little bit troublemakers, but like they didn't expect me to do that kind of thing, you know. And so they were like, he was like, you little shit, you fucking, because he wasn't really mad that we went on a walk. He was just mad at the fact that we left a 13-year-old in the bush by himself.
As anyone would be.
Because what he did, because how we found out was he didn't actually realize that we left. He walked up into the bush to like go check on us, and he was like, just saw Corey. So obviously he just saw Corey sitting in the tent by himself,
Like, pissing
and he was
himself.
like, and Corey ain't no snitch. He was a legend. So he was like,
Oh,
where did the
hell
boys?
yeah.
Where did the boys go? And Corey was like,
Up
"Oh,
your
I don't
bum."
know." And then he was like, come on, Corey, you have to tell me. And he was like, all right, they went on a walk. And he came. He's like, why the fuck didn't you take Corey? You guys are so fucking, you're dead. And we're like, oh shit. And so we go back. We go into his house, which is like a bit like, because the bush section is like just up from his house, like maybe like 100 or 200 meters up the hill. And we go into his house, and his mum's sitting there with like this, and Corey's
knife.
sitting on the couch. He looks so guilty, and like his mum's just sitting there with this death stare, like fucking staring at us, like she wants to fucking kill us. And she's like, you two are fucking dead. And we're like, oh shit.
no.
And then what it turned out is because it was like kind of like a little, not private, but like it's a section that not really hunters are allowed to be in, you know. And he was like I heard, and like he was like, when I went up there I heard gunshots. So he had heard gunshots and like hunters yelling and shit, like literally like within like 100 meters, like hundreds of meters radius. Like they were really close, like shooting guns, and they didn't realize. And like Corey had no light on or anything, so they easily could have just shot the tent and fucking killed him.
yeah.
And then so they were really mad at us, and they were like, right, it's like, because it was like fucking 1 o'clock in the morning or like 12 o'clock or some shit at night, so they were like really tired. So they were like, James, go up to your room. Jay, you sleep on the couch. Like, and then Corey had to sleep on the other couch, right?
Corey had to sleep back in the tent.
Yeah, they just sent him back into the bush with the hunters. No, but
not even any tent.
yeah,
just had to lie
no.
on
So
the
we're sleeping. They're like, oh, we're gonna fucking give you a good talking to in the morning, all right? So they
Good
go
beat,
to bed, and like it comes morning. I wake up, and Corey's like wakes up as well, and James hasn't woken up yet, and we're fucking sitting there, and we're like, oh shit, what's gonna happen, right? Like, we're gonna get in such big trouble. They're gonna call our parents, like whatever. And then I just hear James's dad yelling at him. He's like, you fucking idiot! Like, why the fuck did you do that? He's like having a fat yell at him, right? I'm like, oh shit, what's happening? And then he comes down, and he's like, look, Jay, I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. He does the classic
What a
thing, and
wow.
I'm like, oh my god. And then for the rest of the trip, because I went for I think 4 days in total, and for the rest, because this was on like the second night, and for the rest of the trip, for the remaining 2 days, he made their parents made his
Work in the
older
yard.
sister go everywhere we went with
Right.
us. So we
No.
literally just didn't like get to do anything.
Lame.
And then like the next day, like me, Corey, and James just fucking hopped on this inflatable thing and floated down the river towards Medlands, and we were like later, and we just fucking got on a thing and went
Peace
down the
out,
stream.
bitch.
And then like
Disappears.
but
And that was the last time
Yeah,
we saw
gone
you.
for
I-
it.
that was
And
just
that was the
pretty
last time
crazy.
we saw Corey. He's just
I
gone
have,
somewhere in the
um,
Atlantic Ocean.
Another story with barrier. So
I reckon one more story and we should wrap
Yeah,
it up.
pretty much,
Yeah.
this was pretty recently. There was the first festival to ever happen on barrier.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
And so me, Jude, and Leo, and then
Yeah.
Jude's mum and Jude's little brother, and also my dad. We all go to this festival, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't like the greatest festival, to be honest. It was
It
kind
was
of
a
boring.
festival on an
It was
island.
kind of
Yeah,
boring.
yeah.
It was kind of
In
boring.
New Zealand.
There wasn't that much really happening. So Jude and Flynn and his mum, they leave.
Yeah.
And then it's just me, Leo, and my dad. And my dad tells us, like, look, I'm going to hang around for not too much longer, but I'll leave with you guys. Just let me know when you guys are leaving and we'll all leave. We're like, sweet as. And then me and Leo hang out there for like about another hour. And it's getting dark. At this point, it's pretty much dark. And I call my dad. I'm like, yo, we're ready to leave. Where are you? And he's like, oh, I started walking back half an hour ago. And we're like, oh, fuck.
How long was the walk to get home?
It's a lot, very far, very, very far. And
Jesus Christ.
so we go out to where the buses are, because there'd been these buses that had been running back and forth from our campground and to the festival. So we go and wait for these buses, and there's just not any buses anymore. And we ask, like,
Oh,
are there going to be
no.
more
And
buses?
this was on Barrier, right?
Yeah, this is
Yeah,
on
yeah,
Barrier.
yeah.
We ask, are there going to be more buses? And they're like, no. And we're like, well, fuck.
What are we gonna do?
Well,
We're-
fuck me.
We are very far away from our campsite. My dad's gone. Our phones are about to die.
It's dark.
There's no buses. What the fuck are we supposed to do? So we're just like, well, we're going to have to walk. So we start walking. Then both our phones die. We're just in the middle of buttfuck
Is
nowhere on
it,
Barrier.
is it like pitch black at this
yeah,
point?
pitch
Yeah.
black. Middle of buttfuck nowhere on Barrier. And we're like, fuck. And we're just trying to thumb a left this whole time. Because most of the
Yeah.
time on Barrier, you can get picked up pretty fast.
And
Yeah.
I'll take
But
you to Eden's
every
Gate.
car, it's just
Take you
driving
to the
straight.
dungeon.
It's just driving straight past us, and we're
Yeah.
like, "Fuck, man!" And it takes us like an hour and a half to 2 hours
Holy
to make
shit.
it back to our campground. My dad, he got picked
God.
up just after he called us, but me and Leo got unlucky and just had to walk like the whole way, no phones,
What
nothing.
did your dad have to say when you got home?
We-
Oh, boys,
we didn't
welcome
even-
back.
We
Have
didn't
fun.
even see him. He just went to bed.
Oh, kids
It's
are probably
so
dead
dry.
in the bush.
Next,
man.
next morning, I'm just
Oops.
like,
Oops.
we had to fucking walk all the way back. And he's like, oh, haha.
Whoops.
Jesus.
Wow.
Some
Yeah, I
fucking
mean, I think
solid stories,
we've had
boys.
some really good stories today. I think that's kind of a good spot to wrap it up because we've been
Yeah.
running for about like more than an hour
Over an
now.
hour.
Yeah,
So it's gonna be a big
fucking-
episode.
This
Thank
is
you guys
big.
so much for the support that the
Yeah.
first episode's been getting, all of our social media's been getting.
This
It-
is fucking sick. Thank you guys so
for
much.
Yeah.
small content creators like this, it literally like means the world. Everyone that's been messaging me saying, "Oh, the podcast is awesome. You guys did a great job." I've just been like, "Bro, that means the world. Thank you so
I
much."
know.
Yeah,
Thank
like
you so much.
it's really good the feedback we've gotten, and we hope to continue to entertain you guys in
Yeah.
the future.
Every week, boys. Every Monday.
Yeah.
Hell
so,
yeah, man.
So yeah, I mean, I guess that's kind of it. We'll see you next Monday, guys.
Yep.
Bye.
Chemistry is required.